The War of 1812, May 1815, the war thus far. In my February 1815 video, I reported that the Battle of the St. Mary's River in Georgia on February the 24th, 1815, was the last land battle between British and American land forces during the War of 1812. But, was it the last land battle period? Not so, according to historian D.R. Westhouse. Instead, the last fight was the ominously named Battle of the Sinkhole. Battle of the Sinkhole on May the 24th. Today's video is largely based on Westhouse's account in his unpublished The War of 1812, a chronology of the military actions 1812 to 1815. But, as always, all errors are strictly my own. Like ships at sea, it took a long time for news the war had ended to reach the Old Northwest. But when it finally arrives in April at Fort McKay, located at Prairie du Chien in present-day Wisconsin, British Captain Andrew Bulger, Bulger, summons his Native American allies to give them the news and convince most of them to ratify the treaty. Peace is good, right? Right? Well, Sauk Chief Black Hawk didn't agree. According to Westhouse, quote, a distraught Black Hawk declared his people would never be happy and stormed out of the proceedings, leading a war party down the Mississippi River. End of quote. Note, writing in the January 2021 issue of Military History, Douglas L. Gifford says that Black Hawk's resistance was also motivated in part by a desire to revenge the murder by settlers of a young man he had adopted as a son. On the morning of May 24th, Black Hawk and a companion attacked two settlers on horseback, killing one. Then, near Fort Howard, a settler-built fort west of the Mississippi floodplain, near present-day Old Monroe, Missouri, his warriors ambush 5 Americans, returning to the fort and kill 4 of them. Note, the men who were ambushed were Missouri Rangers. Missouri Rangers. According to Douglas Gifford, quote, these were active duty volunteers, not militia called up during an emergency. The government recruited them primarily from French settlements within Missouri Territory. Rangers were responsible for providing their own horses, weapons, ammunitions, and rations, and were, in theory anyway, to be reimbursed by the federal government. End of quote. Bet they never saw a penny. Hearing the shots, a party of 40 Rangers under command of Captain Peter Craig chased the warriors, who numbered around 30 men, to the top of a limestone bluff overlooking the Mississippi floodplain, where fighting became intense. When 20 Rangers from nearby Fort Independence, under Captain David Musick, joined the affray, Black Hawk and 20 warriors take refuge in a large sinkhole. Ranger John Shaw would describe the sinkhole thus, quote, the sinkhole was about 60 feet in length and from 12 to 15 feet in width and 10 to 15 feet deep. Near the bottom, on the southeast side, was a shelving rock under which perhaps some 50 or 60 persons might have sheltered themselves. End of partial quote. This sinkhole sounds quite similar to Fish Creek, the ravine where Métis hunters held off Canadian militia during the Northwest Rebellion of 1885. In both cases, the defenders were largely invisible, while the attackers would be shot the moment they showed themselves. According to Westhouse, the warriors lose 5 dead, along with an unknown number of wounded, while 13 Americans are killed, 3 injured. At nightfall, the Rangers return to Fort Howard, after it is approached by a small group of warriors, a diversion that allows Black Hawk to retire under cover of darkness. As Prairie du Chien was to revert to the Americans, the British burn Fort McKay on May 24th, the same day as the Battle of the Sinkhole, and then they leave. Most of the tribes will sign peace treaties with the United States and move west of the Mississippi, but Black Hawk holds out until 1816, when, according to the Canadian Encyclopedia, quote, he finally negotiated a treaty with the American government in 1816, reaffirming the terms of the 1804 Treaty of St. Louis. End of quote. And in 1832, he will return to the warpath in the conflict that has gone down in history as Black Hawk's War. On my desk, I have the Penguin Classics edition of The Life of Black Hawk. I also have Geronimo's story of his life. I know, different era, different war. I've always intended to read Black Hawk's autobiography, as he was an active participant throughout the War of 1812. So my question for you, dear listeners, would you be interested in a review of the autobiography on this channel? A review of the Geronimo book as well? Both? Then let me know in the comments below. I have one more War of 1812 military action to cover, in June 1815. Afterwards, I will concentrate on reviewing books about the war and exploring related topics. So if you have any idea of subjects you would like me to cover, please tell me about it in the comments, and stay tuned. If this is your first visit to 1812 channel, my name is Warren, and I am your host. I'm not a historian, nor am I an expert on the War of 1812. Instead, I'm a student wishing to learn about the conflict. Each month, for the roughly 3 years of the war, which is almost over, I will outline the major events, and the end is now in sight. Did I miss anything today? Any errors? Then let me know in the comments below. And till the bitter end. Cheers. The music for today's video was The Pyre by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod.